I know this may sound odd, but before you do something this season, can you really just ask yourself if you're doing it because you authentically and wholeheartedly believe that this is something you want to do and not just something you're looking for validation from? Saying no became a powerful form of self-care. Because saying no meant that I was saying yes to me. Saying no meant that I was taking care of myself. And saying no meant that I wasn't feeling a decline or an obligation to help others, but more preserve my energy and my authenticity. Hey there, besties, and welcome to our cozy corner of the podcasting world. It's time for another episode of Share a Latte. I'm Min, your virtual coffee bestie and host. Imagine us in a cozy cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee in the air, and ready to embark on an inspiring journey. In each episode, remarkable women share their stories of triumphs over life's challenges, providing a warm embrace for your soul. These tales remind you of resilience and determination are keys to success. So grab your favorite brew, get comfy, and join us for the conversation that will awaken your mind and heart. You'll discover your own power to turn tough times into incredible strengths. The Share a Latte podcast sprinkles hope and courage and the belief that you can not only handle, but thrive into your day. All right, besties, let's embrace those tales of triumphs and get ready for another awesome episode of Share a Latte. Hey there, latte besties, and welcome back to another episode of Share a Latte, the podcast where we come together over a virtual latte to listen to amazing stories of women who've overcome life's challenges. I'm your host, Min Sukree, and every Thursday, I'm serving up not just coffee, but a generous pour of life's wisdoms. I'll be sharing stories from my personal journey, hoping that they resonate with yours. Let's kick things off with our favorite caffeine ritual. I really needed a break, so I dove into my hot chocolate balls. We're weeks away from Christmas, and having one always gets me into the Christmas spirit. I think I might have to start sharing some of my favorite cups on my IG stories because I love the idea of seeing other people's coffee. And if you are the same, honestly, I want to see yours. So feel free to message me on Instagram at adminavenger. It's also in the show notes. And share your favorite cup with me because I get so curious as to what people drink and I'm all about trying new flavors next year. So besties, I have a confession. My name is Min and I am a huge people pleaser. Let the meeting commence. If you've been a people pleaser for years and have made it part of your identity, but have decided that that's no longer going to fly in your world, bestie, I hear you. In future episodes, I may share about how I became less of a people pleaser, but in this particular episode, I'm talking about being of service without being a people pleaser. When I worked in corporate, I was an amazing executive assistant and HR specialist because being a people pleaser was basically part of my job. Whether it was going above and beyond for my CEO and working weekends and late nights, or trying to make everybody happy within the company and increase office morale, I was the poster child for being a people pleaser at work. And I honestly wish I could say this stopped at the office, but it only became worse at home with friends and family. I would overextend my mental health, finances, and even physical being to give everything to please the people in my life. This time of year only makes it harder for me, but now, this time of year really makes it hard for me to want to please all the people in my life. It's the season of giving after all, but there's such a huge difference in being of service and people pleasing. So let's dive into the integral waters of service with fulfilling the acts of giving to others while maintaining a critical distance between genuine service and people pleasing. Grab your favorite mug and settle in. We're about to embark on a journey to discover the art of being of service without losing yourself in the process. Being of service to me is like a beautiful dance, a rhythm that connects us to something greater than ourselves, the heartbeat of compassion within our society, and the fuel that drives a positive change. From helping a friend move to volunteering at a local charity, acts of service create a ripple effect, leaving a mark in both the giver and the receiver. Here are some of the ways that I've learned to be of service without overextending myself. before we dive into being of service, know that there are pitfalls in being a people pleaser. While the intention of being of service is noble, it's crucial to tread carefully and avoid falling into the people-pleasing trap. People-pleasing, unlike genuine service, stems from an external validation and approval. It's a subtle but significant distinction that can have profound effects on our well-being. One notable pitfall is the erosion of authenticity, which honestly is something I preach all the time. Constantly aiming to please others honestly just distance ourselves from our true selves. It's like enjoying a cup of coffee, but the flavor gets lost when you're not true to who you actually are and the brew that you actually prefer. I know this may sound odd, but before you do something this season, can you really just ask yourself if you're doing it because you authentically and wholeheartedly believe that this is something you want to do and not just something you're looking for validation from? As a people pleaser, I know what it's like to fear rejection and seek validation from others, giving yourself a higher level of self-worth. Bestie, you're more than having to give that gift to your best friend because she is dying to have it. You don't have to cook for that friend just because she is telling you to. You don't need to give or overextend yourself to please others. If they reject you, then they're not your people and you honestly don't want them around. On one of the episodes of Woke and Pretty, my other podcast, Mira Hardin once said, "I want you to be with someone who chooses you." Now, honestly, she was talking about a special person in your life, but this should hold true to everybody in your life. Now, we can go through all of the pitfalls of people pleasing and how it overextends us and how it leaves us feeling just emotionally, mentally, and physically drained. But I've been saying this all year long this year, is that this is the year that I was seriously setting some serious boundaries. And whether it was distancing myself from certain people or deciding that I was going to take a different route, it really became clear to me that I had to set healthy boundaries and then stick to them, which, by the way, wasn't easy, but I did it. And there were times that I faulted back to what I would normally have done, but there were still so many times that I still made sure that I set those boundaries up and tried to stick to them as often as possible. Once I felt determined in setting those boundaries, saying no became a powerful form of self-care. Because saying no meant that I was saying yes to me, saying no meant that I was taking care of myself, and saying no meant that I wasn't feeling a decline or an obligation to help others, but more preserve my energy and my authenticity. It didn't mean that I didn't help or give. It just meant that I did things within my capabilities. The people who stayed in my life and respected those limits are still here today. The ones who showed me their true colors were easily weeded out in the mix. So I want you to remember that going into this season, that you have every right to set the boundaries that you want and not be the people pleaser. Take one bigger step in being less of a people pleaser this season and taking a bigger step in taking care of yourself, because you, bestie, are so worth it. I want you to love yourself enough this season to set those boundaries and stick to them, to get powerful in your no's, and to know that today, even with the smallest no or the quietest no, one day that no and standing in your power of deciding to no longer overextend yourself will get easier. Okay, besties, this was a short episode. Thanks for joining me today on this episode of Share a Latte. As we navigate this journey together, let's savor our favorite brews, set healthy boundaries, and embrace the genuine art of connection. Don't forget to share your coffee stories with me on Instagram at @MinAvenger. And until next time, keep sipping and keep staying true to yourself. If today's episode warmed your heart, please hit that subscribe button and join me on future journeys. Enjoyed the chat today? Your thoughts and feedback mean the world to me, and they really help others find the magic in Share a Latte. Every story enriches our journey. Remember, you can turn your trials into triumphs and your scars into stars. Keep believing and keep chasing those dreams. This is Min taking her last sip from the Share a Latte podcast, where life happens and coffee helps.